Mixed signals are one of the fastest ways to turn a grounded person into a version of themselves they do not recognize. Not because they are naive, but because mixed signals hijack the brain's need for resolution. They create false hope that feels reasonable, and false hope is one of the most powerful drugs in relationship psychology. Here is the hard truth. Mixed signals are not just confusion. They are a structure. They keep you close without giving you clarity. They keep access high while accountability stays low. And if you have anxious attachment, or even if you are normally secure but you care about this person, your nervous system will start doing something automatic. It will start tracking. It will start scanning. It will start replaying. It will start trying to solve the person like they are a puzzle. That is not love getting deeper. That is your nervous system trying to regain safety inside uncertainty. Today, we are going to map the mixed signal loop stage by stage, so you can see exactly how false hope forms, why it feels addictive, and how to break the cycle without begging or performing. I am going to make you a promise. By the end of this episode, you will be able to tell the difference between a genuine slow build and a loop that keeps you hooked. You will know the proof tests that reveal capacity fast, and you will know what to do the moment mixed signals show up, so you stop paying with your peace. If this kind of clarity helps your nervous system settle, subscribe. PsychBond is a daily decoder for avoidant and anxious patterns, so you stop guessing. Let us define mixed signals in plain words. Mixed signals are when their behavior sends two messages at the same time. They act close, then act distant. They talk about you like you matter, then treat you like you are optional. They flirt, then disappear. They make plans, then cancel, then act offended that you noticed. They say they miss you, then go silent for days. They want access to you, but they resist anything that would make that access accountable. Mixed signals can be loud, like love bombing then vanishing. They can also be quiet, like small warmth followed by small coldness that keeps you scanning all day. Either way, the result is the same. Your nervous system cannot settle because it cannot predict. And when it cannot predict, it starts working overtime. Now we map the loop. Think of it like a wheel that keeps turning until you stop feeding it. The first stage is the hook. The hook is when they offer certainty in a dose. It might be a night where they are unusually affectionate. It might be a message that sounds devoted. It might be a plan that makes you think, okay, this is real. It might be a sentence like, I have never felt this with anyone. It might be them acting jealous and protective, which can feel like proof if you are anxious. Your body relaxes, your chest loosens, your thoughts slow down. That relief is important because relief becomes the reward that trains you. The second stage is the drop. After the hook, something shifts. The texting slows. The plan becomes vague. The energy cools. They take longer to reply. They suddenly have stress. They suddenly need space. They suddenly act like your warmth is too much. Your stomach drops. You feel the familiar question rise. What happened? Did I do something? Did I imagine it? This is where the loop becomes dangerous, because your mind tries to fix uncertainty by creating meaning. The third stage is meaning-making. Your brain hates open loops. It hates not knowing. So it grabs whatever story reduces the discomfort. Maybe they are avoidant. Maybe they are scared. Maybe they are busy. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they got triggered. Maybe I came on too strong. Maybe I should have waited. Maybe I should not have asked that question. Notice what these stories do. They keep hope alive. They turn their inconsistency into a temporary problem that will resolve if you behave correctly. That is false hope. False hope is not believing in love. False hope is believing that the pattern will change without evidence, while you keep paying the cost. The fourth stage is tracking mode. Tracking mode is when your nervous system turns into a detective. You watch timestamps. You watch tone. You reread lines. You check if they viewed your story. You check if they are online. You compare today to yesterday. You look for any clue that tells you which version of them is coming. Tracking can feel like love because you are focused. It can feel like loyalty because you care. But in reality, it is alarm. It is your body trying to predict to stay safe. The fifth stage is the chase. The chase does not always look like begging. Sometimes it looks like over-explaining. Sometimes it looks like sending a casual message to seem relaxed. Sometimes it looks like pulling back to get their attention. Sometimes it looks like posting something because you want a reaction. Sometimes it looks like checking your phone every 3 minutes. The chase is any behavior that is driven by urgency to close the loop. The reason you do it is not weakness. The reason you do it is that your body wants relief. The sixth stage is the reward. They return. Maybe it is small, like a like, a short reply, a meme, a late-night text. Maybe it is big, like an apology, a plan, a sweet phone call, a sudden rush of attention. Your body calms again. Your mind says, "Okay, it is fine." That calm feels like safety. But often, it is just the anxiety stopping for a moment. That moment becomes the reward that trains you to tolerate the drop again, because your system believes the reward will come back if you keep trying. The seventh stage is the reset. You act normal again. You do not bring up what happened because you do not want to lose the warmth. You tell yourself, "Let us not ruin it." You accept their explanation. You accept the vibe. But nothing structural changes. There is no agreement, no clarity, no repair. So the loop repeats. And each time it repeats, the bond grows stronger. Not because it is healthy, but because it is unfinished. Your brain wants completion. Your brain wants the ending. Mixed signals keep the ending out of reach, which keeps you investing. Now, let us connect this to self-respect, because mixed signals do not just confuse you. They train you to abandon yourself in small ways. At first, you ask normal questions. Then you notice their reaction. Then you start editing. You stop asking for plans. You stop asking for clarity. You stop sharing how you feel. You start trying to be the version of yourself that gets the hook without triggering the drop. You call it being chill, but often it is suppression. It is you shrinking to keep access. This is the part people do not say out loud. A lot of mixed signal dynamics have an invisible contract. You give relationship-level access, emotional labor, loyalty, and availability, while they keep full exit rights and call it complicated. You are bonded, but you are not held. You are invested, but you are not secured. You are showing up like a partner, while they keep the option to disappear whenever they feel pressure. That is why it hurts. It is not only rejection. It is the lack of structure. It is the lack of protection for your nervous system. Now we talk about the psychology of false hope. False hope is not optimism. False hope is a cognitive trick your brain uses to avoid grief. If you accept that the pattern is the pattern, you might have to leave. If you leave, you have to feel loss. Your brain would rather keep hope alive than feel loss. So it turns the hook into evidence. It says, the hook is the real them. The drop is temporary. The coldness is stress. The silence is just space. The cancellation is not personal. Each story keeps you in the loop a little longer. And the longer you stay, the harder it feels to leave, because you have invested so much. Now let us talk about why mixed signals feel addictive, even if you are smart. Predictable rewards are calming. Unpredictable rewards are sticky. When the brain cannot predict, it pays more attention. That attention feels like obsession. It feels like you cannot stop thinking. It feels like chemistry. But a lot of the time, it is uncertainty plus relief. You are not addicted to love. You are addicted to the moment the anxiety stops. That is why you can feel hooked to someone who does not actually build with you. Relief is powerful. Relief can feel like destiny when you have been anxious for days. Here is a simple test. If you feel calm only when they are present, that is not safety. That is relief. Safety is when you feel steady even when they are not texting you right now, because the pattern is reliable. Mixed signals never allow that steadiness. They keep you on spikes. Spikes of hope, spikes of anxiety, spikes of relief, spikes of fear. And that is what drains your life. You become tired, you become distracted, your sleep changes, your appetite changes, you feel like you are always waiting for the next signal. Now, we make this real with scenes. Scene 1. They are sweet for 3 days. They text first, they flirt, they make you feel special. Then, they disappear for 2 days. No explanation. You feel sick. You replay the last conversation. You wonder if you said something. You draft messages, you delete them. You finally send a casual line. They respond hours later like nothing happened. You feel relief. You act normal. You do not mention the silence. That is the loop installing itself. Scene 2. They tell you they miss you and want to see you. You get excited. You shift your schedule. Then they cancel last minute. They say, something came up. They do not offer a new plan. They go quiet. You feel hurt. Then, a day later, they send a sweet message. You forgive it because you want the closeness back. That is mixed signals training you to accept inconsistency as normal. Scene 3. They get jealous when you mention someone else. They act possessive. They say, I do not like the idea of you with anyone. That attention can feel like commitment if you are anxious. But then, when you ask for exclusivity, they dodge. They say, why are we labeling? They say, let us not rush. They want the benefits of commitment without the responsibility. That is mixed signals as control. Scene 4. They are intimate in private and vague in daylight. They talk deep at night. They say you matter. They share vulnerability. But in real life, plans are unclear. You are not integrated. You do not know where you stand. You feel chosen in moments, unsafe over time. That is a classic mixed signal structure. It gives the brain enough warmth to stay, but not enough clarity to settle. Now, here is the key shift. Mixed signals are not a mystery to solve. They are a structure to evaluate. Stop asking, what did they mean? Start asking, what does this pattern reward? The pattern rewards them with access without accountability. The pattern rewards you with brief relief and long anxiety. That is not romance. That is conditioning. The moment you see it as conditioning, you stop blaming yourself for being stuck. You start building an exit plan based on proof. Now, we bring in hope thinking versus proof thinking, because this is where you either lose months or save yourself. Hope thinking says, they are just scared. Hope thinking says, if I do not pressure, it will become real. Hope thinking says, the good moments mean it is real love. Proof thinking says, what happens consistently? Proof thinking says, what happens when I have needs? Proof thinking says, what happens after a rupture? Proof thinking says, do they move toward clarity with integrity? Fear is not the issue. The issue is what they do with fear. A person with capacity can be afraid and still be honest. A person without capacity uses fear as an excuse to keep access without responsibility. So, here are the proof tests that break the mixed signal loop. The first is the clarity test. One calm question. Not a speech, not a fight. One question. What are we building? Or, are you looking for a relationship right now? Or, what can I count on from you? A person with capacity can answer without punishing you. They might be nervous, but they can engage. A person without capacity will dodge, deflect, get irritated, or disappear. That response is data. The second is the consistency test. Consistency is not intensity. Intensity can be a hook. Consistency is reliability over time. Do they make plans and keep them? Do they communicate in a way that is predictable enough for your body to settle? Do they show up when it is not convenient? You do not need perfection. You need a stable pattern. If the pattern is spikes and silence, that is mixed signals. The third is the repair test. When there is a gap or a hurt, do they repair or do they reset? A return is not repair. Warmth is not repair. An apology without change is not repair. Repair looks like them naming what happened, owning impact, and changing behavior. If every rupture gets covered with sweetness, you are in a loop where your pain is being soothed, not respected. The fourth is the integration test. Do you exist in their real life? Again, this is not about rushing. It is about whether you are being kept in a private pocket. Mixed signals often look like a private relationship without a public agreement. You get intimacy, but you do not get a place. If you are always hidden, always vague, always waiting, that is data. The fifth is the nervous system respect test. When you express a need calmly, do they respond with care or withdrawal? Many people can be attentive when you are easy. Commitment capacity shows when you are real. If your needs trigger punishment, you are being trained to suppress yourself. Now let us talk about the sentence that keeps you out of over-explaining. Over-explaining is an anxious reflex. It is your nervous system trying to earn safety with words. But mixed signals are not solved with perfect wording. They are solved with structure. Here is the sentence. I enjoy you. I want something steady. I am not available for mixed signals. What can you offer? Then you stop talking. You watch. Their response is your answer. Now, let us talk about what happens in your body when you try to hold that boundary. Your body will feel urgent. Your mind will say, fix it now. But urgency is not love. Urgency is alarm. Mixed signals trigger alarm because your body senses uncertainty. So you need a body plan in the moment you want to chase. You pause. You breathe slower than you want to. You put both feet on the ground. You name it. This is tracking mode. This is false hope trying to pull me back. Then you choose one behavior that honors you. You do not text. You do not check. You go for a walk. You drink water. You call a friend. You write what you want to say, but you do not send it. You let the wave pass. This is how you retrain your nervous system that discomfort does not require action. Now, the hardest part. They come back with warmth. They send a sweet message. They act like nothing happened. Your body floods with relief. Your mind says, "See, they care." This is where you either get reset or you get free. You do not punish. You do not attack. You simply require repair before normal. You say, "I am glad to hear from you. Before we go back to normal, we need to address the gap and agree on what happens next time." If they have capacity, they can do that. If they do not, they will punish you for asking. That is your answer. Now, let us address the common confusion. People will say, "But what if they are avoidant and need space?" Space can be healthy. The problem is not space. The problem is disappearing without communication and returning without repair. Healthy space is named. Healthy space has a time. Healthy space includes respect for your nervous system. Mixed signals use space as a way to avoid accountability. That is the difference. A person with integrity can say, "I need 2 days. I will talk on Friday." And then they do. A person running a mixed signal loop goes silent, returns when they want, and calls your needs pressure. Now, let us talk about the psychology of the person giving mixed signals, because understanding it helps you stop personalizing. Sometimes mixed signals come from an avoidant nervous system. They want closeness, then fear it, then distance, then miss you, then return. Sometimes mixed signals come from someone who wants attention but not commitment. Sometimes they come from someone keeping options open. Sometimes they come from someone who likes the power of being wanted. The exact motivation can vary, but the structure is the same. You do not have clarity. You have spikes. So you do not need to diagnose them. You need to evaluate the pattern. Here is a subtle but important point. Mixed signals often come packaged as maturity. They say, "Let us not rush." They say, "Labels are childish." They say, "Can we just go with the flow?" They say, "I do not want drama." It can sound reasonable, but maturity is not vagueness. Maturity is honesty. Maturity is clarity. Maturity is the ability to talk about what you are building without punishing the other person. If their version of maturity requires you to never ask for clarity, it is not maturity. It is avoidance. Now, let us talk about how false hope makes you treat the person like a project. This is where anxious people lose years. You start thinking, "I just need to make them feel safe. I just need to be patient. I just need to be less intense. I just need to not pressure." But look at what that does. It makes you responsible for their capacity. It makes you manage their nervous system at the expense of yours. It turns love into labor. And labor does not create commitment. It creates burnout. So we replace project thinking with proof thinking. Proof thinking says, "I do not need to convince. I need to observe." Proof thinking says, "I ask once, then I watch behavior." Proof thinking says, "I do not debate my right to have needs." Proof thinking says, If someone cannot meet a basic standard, I do not chase them into a yes. I accept the no, even if the no is delivered through vagueness. Now let us separate mixed signals from a genuine slow build. Because many people get stuck thinking they are being patient when they are actually being trained. Healthy slow still has movement. Healthy slow still has honesty. It still has a pattern that your body can learn. A healthy slow person can say, I like you. I move slowly, and here is what you can count on while we build. They may not rush big labels, but they do not punish basic questions. They do not disappear after closeness. They do not keep you in a private pocket. They make small plans and they keep them. They communicate in a way that is steady enough for your nervous system to settle over time. Mixed signals do the opposite. They create progress that is not real progress. They give you a surge of closeness, then they remove it. They offer words, then remove behavior. They return without repair. They want you to act calm while they stay vague. If you feel like you are always adjusting, always waiting, always careful, always trying to not trigger them, that is not slow love. That is an open loop. Now let us give you 2 clean responses you can use that keep you calm and powerful. If they go quiet after a hook, you do not send a long message. You send one line or none. If you choose one line, keep it simple. You can say, I like you and I want consistency. If you want to keep building, let us talk about what we can count on. Then you stop. If they return with warmth and pretend nothing happened, you say, I am glad you are here. Before we go back to normal, we need to address the gap and agree on what happens next time. These lines are not threats. They are structure. They protect your nervous system and they reveal capacity. And if you feel the urge to chase, remind yourself of the rule under the rule. Do not pay for connection with uncertainty. Do not pay for love with self-abandonment. False hope feels like love because it keeps you looking at the best moment. Proof feels calmer because it looks at the whole pattern. Choose the whole pattern. That is how you stop being trained by mixed signals. Now, I want to give you a short timeline you can use to stop spiraling. Not a rigid rule, but a reality check. Over the next 7 days, you do 3 things. You ask 1 clarity question, you set 1 boundary that protects your nervous system, and you watch behavior. The clarity question is, what are we building? The boundary is, I am not available for mixed signals. I need consistency to keep going. Watching behavior means you do not get reset by sweet messages. You watch if they make a plan and keep it. You watch if they handle your question with respect. You watch if they repair when there is rupture. After 7 days, you decide based on patterns, not the best moment. This is how you stop being hypnotized by almost. Almost chosen, almost committed, almost safe. Now, let us make the ending clear. Mixed signals are a test of what you reward. If you reward attention, you get more inconsistency. If you reward consistency, you get either a real return or a clean ending. Both are wins. Words without behavior do not count. Stop converting potential into hope. Stop turning signals into proof. Stop paying with anxiety. Reward behavior. Reward staying. Reward repair. That is how you stop being hooked without hating anyone. That is how you get your self-respect back. And that is how you build a bond that can hold you. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.